you wonderful people of the interwebs. I'm the ZodiacLord, and finally I have brought back more Lunaverse portraits of me rambling on my characters that I love so dearly. But yeah, so I know it's been a while, and I will say this first. If this is your first encounter with a Lunaverse portrait commentary paint thing, that's a long-ass title, I would highly suggest that you go watch the very first one, or go find the playlist and watch them from Luna first, because otherwise you're probably going to be very confused. Yeah, and I can't really recap everything that, like, happens in the story or whatever every time I do these, because it's then I won't have any time to talk about the actual character in the portrait. So yeah, so if you don't want to be, if this is your first time seeing this, I suggest looking at Luna's first, so you're not super confused on what's going on here. So next thing, I was so very sad to draw that I had to draw Chrome and Virus separately. Everyone's, if you follow me on DA and you know anything about my Lunaverse series already, and you know about Chrome and Virus, the beautiful android brothers who aren't actually related, they're just, I consider them brothers. If you know anything about them, you know that I don't like drawing them separately, and I don't mind artwork of them separately because they look cool they're cool enough to stand on their own. But like, yeah, but I like them being together because just how their dynamic works. I prefer them to be together. So it was so painful to have to draw them apart. My boys, and like even on the reference sheet, you can't see it on here, but like on the reference sheet on DA, it's they're even have the same reference sheet because I like drawing them together and stuff. But yeah, I had to draw them separate. And some people were actually saying like, well, why don't you just draw them in the same portrait? Why don't you draw like two portraits with them in it, like in the same video? And I could, but then that'd be a very long ass video. And I think these are pretty long how it is. So I just kind of, I would have rather had them be separate. So I'm just gonna have to suffer a little bit, but it will be fine because at least I can talk about both of them on their own, and then later talk about what both of them are like together. So yeah, but yeah. So before I get into like all the mess that is Chrome and Virus, because oh boy are they complicated, like everything else in Lunaverse. I will say this one was a very interesting portrait to do because unlike with Virus, or not Virus, what am I saying? Because unlike with the other portraits, Virus and Chrome are both androids, so technically they are made of other materials other than just regular skin and stuff. So, it's weird. So, like it was very weird to do it because I couldn't shade their hair like to look like more like hair. I had to shade their clothes differently to make it kind of look bear a bit more of a resemblance to metal. I don't think I did a super good job, but it's supposed to resemble a bit more of metal. It's a bit of a different kind of metal, so it looks weird because other dimensional crap, but so that was a weird challenge with this one, and I'm sure it'll be the same challenge when I do Virus eventually, so yeah. But anyway, let's talk about some androids. So yeah, as if it wasn't weird enough, they're and Chrome and Virus are androids from another dimension, because as if it wasn't weird enough that we had a witch and a half alien god person living under the same roof, we have to have androids from another dimension, because Lunaverse is confusing. This is why you should watch these from the beginning. So yeah, so Chrome and Virus are from another dimension, and what's kind of weird about them is unlike the other characters who kind of show up in Luna's world, quote unquote our world, intentionally, Chrome and Virus ended up there because of some other crap that went down that I'll talk about with Virus because it has more to do with him, and Chrome was more dragged along for the ride. So for him, with Chrome here, I'll talk a bit more about the context of their world, and then with Virus, I'll talk more about how they got to where they were and how they were found and all that other good stuff. So let's talk about their world. So their world that they came from, not necessarily their dimension, but their world, whom I won't, not to like, it's kind of hard not to do this, that like, not that I'm really spoiling anything, but it's kind of unknown in the context of the story if their world in their dimension was another planet or if it was another version of Earth, because complicated time, space, whatever stuff. But yeah, their world that they came from was called Teruvia, which was a world that is very, very sci-fi. It's like a science fiction dream. It's super sci-fi, super technology based, super cool, fancy, spacey, techie, whatever kind of stuff, you know? And so, like, it's a world they don't really have a religion. They're just super based on technology, technology, technology. And they also, at the same time, have they're actually led by a queen, whom in the story is only ever known as the Queen. She doesn't really have a canonical name. Her brother does, ironically, but she herself doesn't have a name. She's just the Queen, which is funnier because she's a very important character that doesn't have a name. Anyway, but I'm trying so hard not to go off on tangents and rambles and whatnot. But yeah, so in this world, there's like, they got androids and they have robots, and there's a big difference between androids and robots. And androids are kind of considered a sort of servant class. Not that really any of them mind that much, believe it or not. This isn't really a matter of like they're enslaved. It's kind of a chill life being an android. They're not really an enslaved race. I mean, it can depend on the owner that they get, you know, like some of them are worse than others, but most of them don't really mind living the life that they do, and Chrome and Virus themselves don't. Well, it kind of changes a bit later on, but spoilers. So Chrome and Virus were two androids that were going to be custom made for the Queen. And she got them from a company known as Anadroids, because when it comes to androids, there are different companies that can make them, and they all have their own tweaks and things like this. It's kind of a weird sort of mix of capitalism within the monarchy, if that makes sense. But yeah, so there's like different places that'll make different kind of custom-made androids. Like some places will make them look more like super hyper realistic. Some of them will make exaggerations. Some of them will make them look more alien-like. Some are more human-like. Some will give them different traits and things. So it becomes sort of a matter of like, what do you prefer? And Anadroids, this particular company, was one of the first, so they kind of hit a big little market thing because, you know, they make androids that are humans with animal characteristics, basically. I don't remember what the term is. Not a furry, but like, you know, it's like I think it's a Japanese term or whatever, like basically humans with like animal ears and crap. And that's what Chrome and Virus are. So they'll give them tails and ears, and it's purely aesthetic. They don't do anything super special, whatever. And obviously, like, there's other differences, but they're a lot more minute. The big thing is animal ears, yay! So Chrome and Virus are both custom made with animal ears and tails because the Queen decided she wanted some. She wanted them to look fancy. And usually you just get single robots, but the Queen was like, I want two tech droids that are kind of like have a weird twin thing going on, because that'd be fun to have two rather than one, you know, whatever. And so that was the theme she was going for. And stuff happened that will be more discussed with Virus and because of how he came to be. But Chrome, he was perfect. He, in the terms of like technically of how a android is supposed to function, he was perfection. He's smart. He's good with tech. He's efficient at getting his job done. He's like good at what he does. He's like a perfect tech droid, basically. He just can't perfectly. However, the thing with androids that differentiates them from just robots, which robots are in this world are usually made to be soldiers, but that's besides the point. Androids are like about 75% of their kind of identity, so to speak, comes purely from them and is purely up to like a toss-up of just whatever happens kind of thing. And so you can't really predict it. And I mean, yeah, you could control it, just depends on what it is. But like Chrome, his was the 75%. So while he's perfect in the technical aspect of he can do his job, well, he sort of got an ego. He likes to think rather highly of himself because he was an android for the queen. Like, if there was a person to be made an android for, it would be the queen. Like, that's the highest position he as an android could probably get. So he likes to think highly of himself and often looks down on people whom he deems lower than himself, which is a lot of people, most people really, which is part of what happens in Lunaverse. Like, you know, he's kind of an asshole to everyone, basically. And then if he likes someone and he looks up to someone, he's a bit of a kiss ass. That's kind of what his character is. So sure, he's good at what he's doing and he's like the family strategic, quote unquote, in the actual story. He's an asshole through and through. Like, he's not a likable person. And it's kind of funny because 3 of the characters that he looks up to are Felicity, whom he likes her because she's sweeter and she's just kind of hard not to like. So, you know, there's that, and that'll be more discussed when I do her portrait eventually. Infinity, because she's an alien god, so, you know, it's kind of hard for him not to be like, oh my god, she's so cool, you know. And then Vanessa, whom he thinks in the household to be the smartest and the most intelligent and the most perfect role model, which is a terrible, terrible decision if you've watched the Vanessa one. And Vanessa likes to mess with that because she'll take that trust that he has in her and basically screw with him. Like, one of the things is that he tells him that, oh yeah, humans, they think that, like, she'll show him things like, oh, look at this stuff that humans like, or it's like, look at these headbands, and it's like, do humans like headbands? And it's like, oh, sure they do. And then she doesn't tell him that it's a feminine thing and whatnot, so he'll, like, in his quote-unquote public disguise, go around wearing headbands and crap. It's just it's a fun dynamic. But yeah, he's also got some major jealousy issues. Again, it's going to be more discussed when do Virus, because I can explain why he's so jealous of particularly Virus. But yeah, and he also can't fight for crap because he's a tech droid, so he's not built for fighting, he's built for doing technology-based things. So yeah, he's the smart kid who can't do anything. It's kind of funny because something you'll learn you'll find out whenever we go into Virus is that a big dynamic of them is the fact that they're supposed to be, Virus is the black and red one who looks edgy as hell, and yet he's kind of the chill one who's really not all that edgy at his core. That's kind of funny because the little gem things on their chest are called cores. But Virus, however, he's the one who's like blue and white and green, and he's the more edgy one, really. But yeah, so that's kind of the bit of basics on what Chrome is and how he does his things. So yeah, he's kind of made to be the weird, like, disruptor in the household or whatever, because he's just an asshole and, like, he's very unlikable. Just funny, and he's also just a fun character too, honestly, because just how he acts and the fact that no one really likes him. But yeah, so that's him. And also just fun little creator side note thing is that Chrome was an adoptable that I got a really long time ago. And then Virus is like half an adoptable, but only because I made him based so heavily off of Chrome. He might as well be an adoptable, but he's not because he's still kind of designed by me, but I like to say he's kind of half an adoptable. And what was really funny was that when I was kind of going back and rewriting things, quote unquote, I was looking at Chrome and Virus and I was thinking, man, they look so out of place. They look so detailed compared to everyone else. And so while there's some people who think that, like, well, they don't really seem like that to me, there's a running joke in the story that I put in there just to make myself laugh, I guess, that Luna oftentimes refers to Chrome and Virus as the anime characters because they kind of, to her, make her think of anime characters. They got, like, what looks like dyed hair. It's obviously artificial, but you know, like they look like they have dyed hair, they got their animal ears, you know, whatever. So that's kind of a running joke that I have for that. So if you ever hear me refer to Chrome and Virus as the anime characters, you know why. But yeah, so that's kind of all there. That this ran a lot longer than I wanted it to be. But yeah, that's basically Chrome and Virus, our lovely other dimensional tech droid thing, and androids. Yay, androids. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you could understand my rambling about my characters. I'm honestly very surprised that there's people who seem to really enjoy me talking about Lunaverse. Like, there were people who were asking, when's going to be the next Lunaverse portrait or whatever. And so it's really cool that there's people who seem to really enjoy, really enjoy these commentary paints and me rambling about Lunaverse. And I'm happy to do more because I love rambling about my own stories. Yay! So, that's all for that one. And hopefully Virus can come out at some point soon because he has a whole other half of context with Chrome and all the other fun stuff. So, yeah, but yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed my ramblings. I'm sorry this was so long, and I will see you in the next video, whatever it may be. Zodiac out.